I know. I was there when I said that. Thank you. Okay, so let's just dive into this, and I'll show you kind of how it works. But I've been talking for a bit, and now I've forgotten what I sounded like. So hang on just a second. I have to try to sound match my voice to what it sounded like there. Excuse me. Welcome to the UEE Central Library Database. Corporation data is selected. File entry. Okay, it's not that difficult. I mean, it's practically my normal speaking voice anyway. It's just the cadence is a little bit different. All right, let's go. And now you're going to see how often I screw up when I'm making these things. That was a good stretch. Okay. Happy birthday, Allie. Corporation data selected. File entry. Klaus and Werner. The majority of gun manufacturers diversify their manufacturing lineups. A&R makes reactors. Greycat makes buggies. Even Bering, considered the platinum standard for laser-class weaponry, also designs shield generators. Klaus and Werner doesn't. They make guns, and they make them well. This simple philosophy is the brainchild of Hector Klaus, a successful weapons inventor who believed above all else that simplicity of design would triumph in a combat situation. He long advocated creating weapons with as few moving parts as possible, reducing the needed supply chain and, wherever possible, rethinking weapon roles. He began his career working in Bering's famed Terra Lab, where his designs were applauded but his philosophy ignored. Military contracts were most profitable when they meant that a company would continue to produce replacement parts, upgrade kits, and other maintenance supplies. A chance meeting with Jessica Werner, the widow of a wealthy industrialist, led Klaus to Klaus' I keep wanting to say Klaus's, and it's not. It's Klaus' resignation. Led to Klaus' resignation from Bering and the founding of a new company based on his principles. In the ensuing years, Klaus and Werner has become a household name. Civilian pilots of all stripes rely on their affordably priced, effective gun systems, and their personal arms division has seen great success. Hi, Kimball. Where was I? Shit. The company has had little success in the military arena, though. Repeated bids for lucrative military contracts have resulted in only token production orders, with the Army and Navy continuing to rely on Bering and other well-established standards for their weapons technologies. God! Hi, Kimball. This is how it starts. This is how it goes every time. Okay, so that's the first 3 paragraphs, which is the first section. At this point, it goes into the CF series. If you're reading along, it's going to become a read-along series with Tremendane. Anyway, if you're following along, this is where it jumps to the CF series of weapons. But we don't want to do that right now. We want to go into an editing pass. So now, for those of you wondering, it may not be obvious to you. The program I'm using for this is called Audacity. It's a free voice recording thing. Now, if you listen, you'll hear at the beginning of this one. Let's mute this upper track, because if I were to push play right now, it would sound like this.
End of entry. Welcome to the UEE
Thank you for visiting
Central
the
Library
UEE
database.
Central Library database.
Corpora-
That would get a little confusing. So what we do is we come up here and we mute this track. That is actually the end of the thing. That's the part that, if we reverse this and solo this track, this is the part that says
End of entry. Thank you for visiting the UEE Central Library database.
but I keep it up here at the beginning so that it's very easy for me to find, because the end of this thing is constantly moving and I have no idea where it's going to be. So we will mute this so that you cannot hear it until I unmute it. And now if I start in the beginning, now listen to the silence at the beginning of this track, and you'll hear when it gets to the one that the stuff that I just recorded, how it suddenly goes in the background.
Welcome to the UEE Central Library database. Corporation data selected. File entry. Klaus and Werner.
Sounds totally different, right? Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a sample of this section of silence, which is the ambient room noise. We take a sample of this by using the noise removal tool, which you guys probably can't see right now because it's not set to show the sub windows. Let me see if I can put that back in place. Noise removal. No, you can't. Hang on. I'll find it. Yeah. Noise removal. Yes, that. Thank you. Show it. That. Yes, thank you. So this is the noise removal window. And what I did was I clicked on Get Noise Profile because I've selected the section that has the sound that I want to remove from the rest of the track. So we have gotten the noise profile. And now we select the track to select the whole thing, and the sub window's not gone. Select the whole thing, and now we apply the noise removal to the entire thing. And it's done. And when we play it this time, it sounds like this.
Klaus and Werner. The majority of...
So it's better, but you can still hear that click in the beginning. So we need to get rid of that. So what I do is I take half a second of silence. Noise removal ed silence. And I use a half a second because I can, if I need more than a half a second, I can paste 2 halves of a second, make a whole second, and make it a second and a half, and I just add in blocks of half-second time until I get the desired amount. So we paste that in, and if I leave it there, it's too fast. I mean, it comes up too soon is what I mean. It now sounds like this.
Welcome to the UEE Central Library database. Corporation data selected. File entry. Klaus and Werner.
So it's just a little bit too quick. I want a little bit more delay here. So
Corporation data selected. File entry. Klaus and Werner.
That's what I want. Okay. I want a second of pause with slightly more because there's a tail end on the other end of that thing. But and then this.
Klaus and Werner. The majority of gunmen.
Okay, that's a decent length of time between the two. So now I go through and I make an editing pass and I take out all of the stuff that obviously I don't want in there, like breath sounds, me laughing, saying hi to Kimball. Not that I don't want it in there, it's not appropriate for the thing.
Klaus and Werner. The majority of gun manufacturers diversify their manufacturing lineups. A&R makes reactors. Grey Cat makes buggies. Even Bearing.
Ooh, there was a breath.
Grey Cat makes buggies.
Right there. Zoom in. Double check and make sure we've got the right seconds. Hard to hear, but it's there.
Grey Cat makes buggies. Even Bearing.
Okay, that's too long.
their manufacturing lineups. A&R
Ooh, I hadn't heard that the first time through.
manufacturing lineups. A&R makes reactors. Grey Cat makes buggies. Even Bering considered the
Now, if I paste half a second here, that's still going to be way too long.
even Bering considered the platinum standard.
So we just take most of that and delete it so that now...
Grey Cat makes buggies. Even Bering considered the platinum standard for laser class weaponry, also designed shield generators.
Hang on.
Laser class weaponry, also designed.
Ooh, yeah.
Laser class weaponry,
Much better.
platinum standard for laser class weaponry, also designed shield generators. Klaus.
That's one of the things that I worry about when doing voice, or with regard to other voice actors, is like, I don't worry about it, but I wonder about it. When, like, if they get dental work done, like a significant amount of dental work done, it changes your teeth, and that alters the way that you speak. And I worry about that sometimes. You know, it's like, oh my God, what happens if I go to a fight and a hockey game breaks out and I wind up, you know, losing a tooth? What the hell do I do? And then the replacement is never going to be quite the same shape and size, and it's never going to be exactly as it was. What do I do? What do I do?
Also designed shield generators. Klaus and Werner doesn't. They make guns, and they make them well.
Okay, that'll do. This becomes our new 0 point. Everything before this is pretty much done.
And they make them well. This simple philosophy is the brainchild.
What?
This simple philosophy is. This simple philosophy is.
Does this sound like my voice cracked right there? This simple velocity.
This simple philosophy is the brainchild of Hector Klaus, a successful weapons inventor who believed above all else that simplicity of design. This simple philosophy is.
Okay. Ordinarily, I mean, under almost any other circumstance, I would redo that. But when the computer voice effect is added later on, it'll mask most of that, so I'm not going to worry about it too much.
This simple philosophy is the brainchild of Hector Klaus, a successful.
That, however, I will worry about. It's not a breath sound. It is a breath sound, but it's not an inhalation. It's not. It's Klaus. Which I shouldn't do. Because
Brainchild of Hector Klaus, a successful weapons inventor who.
it. Why is it so low in volume? Because I have the input volume kind of turned down on my thing. Hello, reluctant snake. Anyway, it's this low because the input is very, you know, it's not as high as I would normally have it. Part of that is slightly for noise gating to try to keep some of the ambient out of the room, because there is quite a bit of echo in here. You can't normally hear, but once I put that computer effect on there, it's going to get really obvious. So I had to keep it kind of low. But what I do is I use an audio compressor later on to amplify it, which is not the best way to go about it. But again, the computer voice effect will kind of cover that up. And I'm working with a somewhat limited set of tools. So I do the best I can with what I have.
Child of Hector Klaus, a successful weapons inventor who believed above all else that simplicity of design.
I didn't mean to with myself there a second. Simplicity of design might be too take out that.
That simplicity of design would triumph in a combat situation. He long.
Hello, Sean. Welcome to the editing portion of this first part. What I could do
in a combat situation. He long advocated creating
It's a little too much of a pause.
would triumph in a combat situation. He long advocated
Okay.
creating
I was kind of debating back and forth. Do I go through and record the whole thing, record each section as its own track, and then go back and do the editing pass, for the second half of the show, or do I record a section, edit, and do all the stuff, and then record the next section and do the editing pass, and do the next recording and then do the editing pass? I think I'm going to do it that way because it gives people who are coming in later a chance to see both of them, rather than I do all the recording at the beginning and then somebody shows up and all they get to see is the editing. So we'll do it this way.
would triumph in a
Did he?
simplicity of design would triumph in a combat situation. He long advocated creating weapons with as few moving parts as possible, reducing the needed moving parts as possible, reducing the needed supply chain and wherever possible reducing the needed supply chain and wherever possible rethinking weapon roles. He began his career rethinking weapon roles. He began his career working in Bering's famed Terra Lab.
That always sounds like blah, Terra Lab.
Bering's famed Terra Lab, where his designs were applauded. Bering's famed Terra Lab, where his designs were applauded, but his philosophy ignored. Military contract.
See, I don't normally laugh about that. I mean, for me, knowing that you guys are watching me do this makes it more funny to me. Normally I'd be like, and I would just delete it, and do the editing. But knowing you guys are watching now, it's funny.
Military contract. But his philosophy ignored. Military contracts were most profitable when they meant that a company would continue to produce replacement parts, upgrade.
I never laugh about this when nobody's watching. Why have I stopped loving you? I haven't stopped loving you. It's just, it's the pause between breaths.
Replacement parts, upgrade kits, produce replacement parts, upgrade kits, and other maintenance supplies.
Unless you mean ME, as in Windows ME, because I never loved Windows ME. Just saying.
Produce replacement parts, upgrade kits, and other maintenance supplies. A chance meeting with Jessica. It's not Jessica. A chance meeting with Jessica Werner, the widow of a wealthy industrialist, led Klaus. A chance meeting with Jessica Werner, the widow of a wealthy industrialist, led Klaus.
There's a lot of boo-boo in all of this here.
The widow of a wealthy industrialist, led Klaus. Led to Klaus. Led to Klaus. I keep wanting to say Klaus's, and it's not.
It's not Klaus's. It's Klaus.
And it's not. It's Klaus' resignation.
See? That's what I said earlier. It's Klaus' resignation. Blah.
Led to Klaus' resignation from Bering and the founding of a new company based on his principles.
Okay, now let's double check the pause between these two.
Kits and other maintenance supplies. Led to Klaus' resignation from...
Whoa, what? No. Oh, God, no. I done screwed something up there.
A chance meeting with Jessica...
That could have been a bad... That could have been a bad time. Okay, we'll just... Because I deleted the chance meeting part. Okay. I think it was this one.
A chance meeting with Jessica Werner, the widow of a wealthy industrialist,
Okay.
led to
Okay. It's you guys. You guys are making me laugh. You need to stop doing that. Okay.
a chance meeting with Jessica and other maintenance supplies. A chance meeting with Jessica Werner, the widow of a wealthy industrialist, led to Klaus.
Okay. This is where it's okay, Snake. I understand. I understand. It happens. You know. It happens. Right about there, I think.
Parts, upgrade kits, and other maintenance supplies. A chance meeting with Jessica Werner, the widow of a wealthy industrialist, led to Klaus' resignation from Bering and the founding of a new company based on his principles.
It'll do.
In the ensuing years, Klaus and Werner became a in the ensuing
This is the worst part of living. No, it's not the worst part of living here. The worst part of living here is the fact that apparently I say we, I wasn't living here at the time, when the housemates basically begged the landlord to switch over to solar panels. Yes, I know, Geek Boy, no pressure at all. The guys convinced the landlord to get solar panels installed so that we would build up a credit during the day and then exhaust that credit at night so we could cut down on the power bill. Well, apparently when the solar panels showed up, the landlord just kind of signed for it and didn't bother to count them. So they were short 2 panels. And we're all counting on you. What is my voice for? Oh, you mean what is this thing for? I know you didn't mean what is my voice for, but thank you. This is, I will finish the solar panel story in just a second. Railgun, this is for a Galactic Guide narration for Star Citizen. It is one of the lore files for one of the corporations that manufactures guns called Klaus and Werner. Anyway, the solar panels. So we were shorted on 2 of them. The other thing is that PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, apparently they have this policy that when you switch over to solar, they just send you 1 bill at the end of the year. And we did not realize this. And we also didn't realize we were short 2 panels, and we didn't realize that we weren't building up as much of a credit as we thought. So at the beginning of the month, we all got nailed with a $6,000 electric bill. So there go my savings. Boom! You know, it's shit. Okay, back to this. Oh, sorry, not quite back to this. Soon back to this. The other thing was that in winter, the air patterns in the Bay Area change a little bit. So now all the airplanes that are landing at Oakland Airport come in over my house. And so I have to wait for them. Now, the jets aren't that bad because they're usually much higher. But the private aircraft are much lower, and they're in the background. Stop it! Go somewhere else. Why can't you be as quiet as the hang gliders that jump off that mountain over there? Okay, now back to this thing.
Founding of a new company based on his principles. In the ensuing years, Klaus and Werner has become a household name. Civilian pilot
Of every stripe.
Klaus and Werner has become a household name. Civilian pilots of all stripes
That's too much of a pause.
has become a household name. Civilian pilots of all stripes rely on their affordably priced, effective gun systems, and their personal arms division has seen great success.
Oh, God. See, that is a common mistake that I make. I do that all the time. I will do a break on an and try to go back to it. Now I have to find the and in the previous stretch, and it needs more pause. No, it's now I have to stitch these things together. Damn it.
Systems and their personal arms.
I think it's right here.
And their personal effective gun systems and their personal arms division.
Got lucky on that one. It's not normally that.
Civilian pilots of all stripes rely on their affordably priced, effective gun systems, and their personal arms division has seen great success.
It is not normally that easy. It is normally much, much worse than that. Okay.
Hi, Kimball. Where was I?
Oh.
Success. The company has had little success in the military arena, though. Repeated bids for success. The company has had little success in the military arena, though. Repeated
Okay. Breath sound right there. Yeah.
success in the military arena, though. Repeated bids for lucrative military contracts have resulted in only token production orders. With the Army and Navy.
Of course, you just gotta.
Token production orders. With the Army and Navy continuing. With the Army and
Continuing. I hate it when they continual.
in only token production orders, with the Army and Navy continuing to rely on Bering and other well-established standards for their weapons technologies.
Ooh, that was ugly. Ugly click at the end of this thing. Much better. Okay, so now we take this whole track and we apply the delay effects so that this
Manufacturers diversify their manufacturing lineups.
starts sounding more like this.
UEE Central Library Database.
So what we do is we select the track. Let's go ahead and compress it so that it gets louder. What this will do is it, even though it sounds like it's squishing things, it's going to make them louder. Like, boom, that. And then we will normalize so that everything is at -3, because otherwise, if I add the effect right now, it's going to basically make like 3 copies overlaid of all of this and do 5-minute pauses. It's like there's an episode of Next Generation where Data is sitting in his quarters and he's like experiencing some alien culture's poetry, and like Geordi comes in to see what he's doing. He's just sitting in front of a black screen, and it's he says that it's called a lacunae, and it's just long moments of pause for the audience to reflect upon what they've heard, and blah blah blah. I'm not putting any lacunae in this thing. So we normalize to -3, which makes it a little easier on the ear, because it would start clipping very badly if I left it the way it was. And then we add a delay effect. Now you guys may not be able to see this window. Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. Now you can see it. Now, most of this I leave the same. The one thing I do change is the delay time in seconds. I change it from 0.3 to 0.01. And apply that. You can see the waveform change in the background, and for some reason this window doesn't disappear. But now the whole thing sounds like this.
Welcome to the UEE Central Library Database. Corporation data selected. File entry. Klaus and Werner. The majority of gun manufacturers diversify their manufacturing lineups. A&R makes reactors. Grey Cat makes buggies. Even Bering, considered the platinum standard for laser-class weaponry, also designs shield generators. Klaus and Werner doesn't. They make guns, and they make them well. So that's how it winds up coming up. So now this section is done. So we go to the end, and now we find Jean Casual. Hello, welcome. Welcome to this this here particular event that we're doing, where we're going to be making some more of them Galactic guide entries stuff. So the next series in this, oh god, it's a long one. Is the CF series. I may have to split these up because there's 2 big paragraphs and 3 little paragraphs. So I'm going to split them up like that. The 2 big paragraphs first. If you stretch till it hurts, it's good. Not always. Okay. CF series. The key limitation of laser weapons is their low damage potential. Lasers charge quickly. They impact a wide variety of energy fields and armor types, and they cause clean hits. But despite attempts at increasing battery pools and energy generation, no one has engineered a laser that... Wow, okay, hang on. There. No one has engineered a laser that does the kind of damage that a neutron gun or a kinetic weapon can inflict. Most designers work around this limitation by increasing the range and surgical precision of their lasers. Not Klaus and Werner. The CF series of laser repeaters is based on an entirely different principle. Deliver as many hits to a wide area as quickly as possible. 3 models of the CF series, the Bulldog, Badger, and Panther, currently account for the majority of Klaus and Werner's Voyager Direct sales. Klaus and Werner positions the CF... I've got to figure out how I want to pronounce this part. Klaus and Werner positions the CF-007 Klaus and Werner positions the CF-007 Bulldog laser repeater as its beginner laser, with a low price point designed to introduce new pilots to the repeater concept. The ultimate hope is that a pilot who picks a Bulldog as a first gun will become used to the style of weapon and opt for a Klaus and Werner gun when it's time to upgrade, rather than switching to a bearing with wholly different firing specifications. The Bulldog features a 3-barrel sequential fire design which is capable of high rates of power while maintaining a good degree of accuracy. The overall low damage rate is countered by a low overall power consumption. Reviews of the Bulldog have been middling, with many recommending that those with enough credits to spend opt for a higher quality weapon. I felt like there was something crawling on my neck. It was driving me up the wall. Now, I do have quite a few spiders in my room, so I thought that's what it was. And I was just like, what? Please tell me one of you isn't taking a hike while I'm trying to do this. I love spiders, by the way. That's why I don't get them out of my room. It's also why there are no fruit flies in my room. It's not uncommon for my housemates to leave a sack of potatoes out until they begin to liquefy. And so we sometimes get fruit flies. So I know potatoes aren't a fruit. I don't care. Spiders are awesome. Again, you can hear the background. Now, Daddy, I don't know if you were here. I don't know if you are still here. But
I don't think you were here earlier when I was talking about the noise. I mean, I knew you were here when you asked why is it so quiet, but this is why. You can hear the background noise this way. That hiss. If I turn the gain up, it gets a lot louder. So now we use the noise removal tool again to get rid of said noise. And now we have this, which still has a click.
CF series.
So we paste a half a second and a half second.
CF series.
Much better.
The key limitation of laser weapons is their low damage potential.
Now, can you hear that pop right in the beginning? You can see it on the VU meter up there. That is the end of the L in potential. So I don't want to delete that, otherwise the word just sounds like it stops. So I want to bring this back just a bit, so that I just delete the breath and the click, because the click is my tongue clicking against the bottom of my mouth when I start to do the next word.
Weapons is their low damage potential. Lasers charge quickly. They impact a wide variety of energy fields and.
So we'll just delete this because I like the pause there.
Lasers charge quickly. They impact a wide variety of energy fields and armor types, and they cause
Clean hits. Clean hits.
and armor types, and they cause clean hits.
Take a shot of whiskey. No. No.
Cause clean hits. But despite attempts at.
While I am not an alcoholic, if I start drinking, I'm not going to want to stop until I get where I'm going. And where I'm going is a very clumsy place. Geek Boy knows this from last week.
And they cause clean hits. But despite attempts at increasing battery pools and energy generation, no one has engineered a laser that. Wow, okay, hang on. Laser that. No one has engineered a laser.
Oh.
No one has engineered a laser. No one has.
Okay, we'll just get rid of all that too.
Energy generation. Attempts at increasing battery pools and energy generation. No one has engineered a laser that does the kind of damage that a neutron gun or a kinetic weapon can inflict. Most.
Booze equals mana.
Gun or a kinetic weapon can inflict. Most designers work around this limitation by increasing the range and surgical precision of their lasers.
Yeah, but I mean, booze might equal mana, but when I get that magical, it's not beneficial for my work. No.
Precision of their lasers. Not Klaus and Werner. The CF series of laser repeaters is based on an entire. Not Klaus and Werner. The C.
Just get rid of that right now.
Not Klaus and Werner. The CF series of laser repeaters is based on an entirely different principle. Deliver as.
Hopefully you guys aren't trying to listen to this whole thing, because you're never going to hear the whole thing until I'm done. And there needs to be a little bit, like Tico said, there needs to be a little bit more pause up here. so it sounds stylish.
Not Klaus and Werner. The CF series of laser repeaters is based on an entirely different principle. Deliver as many hits to a wide area as quickly as possible. 3 models of the CF series. 3 models of the area as quickly as possible. 3 models of the CF series, the Bulldog, Badger, and Panther, currently.
You would think, for as often as I have to listen to these things while editing and whatnot, that I would remember more of the lore than I do.
3 models of the CF series, the Bulldog, Badger, and Panther, currently account for the majority of Klaus and Werner's Voyager Direct sales. Klaus and Werner positions the CF. I've got to figure out how I want to pronounce this part. Klaus and Werner position.
When I was pre-reading these yesterday, I wasn't sure if I wanted to say
Voyager Direct sales.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to say the CF-007, or if I wanted to say the CF-007, or if I wanted to say the CF-007, or
Klaus and Werner positions the CF-007 Bulldog. Klaus and Werner positions the CF-007 Voyager Direct sales. Klaus and Werner positions the CF-007 Bulldog laser repeater as its beginner laser, with a low price.
Yeah, Railgun, I do that too. I'm not listening to what I'm saying, I'm listening to how I'm saying it. And so the context of what it is lost. And I'm just trying to make sure that the performance is accurate, which is kind of bad. I mean, I do go back and listen to it when it's completed. I mean, well, okay, I read it first for the context, because without knowing the context, I can't perform it well. So I have to understand what the article is talking about in order for me to know where to emphasize certain things and whatnot. So I do read them, but once I get into recording and editing them, I stop paying attention to what is being said and rather how it's being said.
It's beginner laser, with a low price point. Laser repeater as its beginner laser, with a low price point.
Oh, no, that's way too fast. Like Tico said, more pause.
Bulldog laser repeater as its beginner laser, with a low price point, designed to introduce new pilots to the repeater concept.
I was like, I could feel my lungs caving in on themselves as I was getting near the end of it, and you can hear it.
Point designed to introduce new pilots to the repeater concept.
Concept. It's like, there's got to be some more air in here somewhere. I can't feel the alveoli squishing against each other yet.
Point designed to introduce new pilots to the repeater concept.
It's something you have to get used to, Armed Gears. I hated my voice for a long time too. I mean, when I first heard it recorded, I mean, everybody has that moment where they first hear their voice recorded and they're like, that doesn't even sound like me. Because you're used to hearing it through bone conduction. You know, the sound conducted literally through the flesh and bone of your body sounds very different to you than it does to everybody else. But the first time you hear it recorded and played back, it doesn't sound the same to you because it's more acoustic. Well, it's still acoustic, but you know, it's the way everybody else hears you, and so it sounds very different. Oh, look, the clock says 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, but eventually you get used to it. It takes a little bit, but you get used to it.
With a low price point designed to introduce new pilots to the repeater concept. The ultimate hope is that a pilot who picks a bull.
A little bit too much pause.
Pilots to the repeater concept. The ultimate hope is that a pilot who picks a Bulldog as a first gun will become used to the style of weapon and opt for a Klaus & Werner gun when it's time to upgrade, rather than switching to a bearing with a wholly different firing rather than switching to a bearing with wholly different firing rather than switching to a bearing with wholly different firing specifications.
There we go. I hate moments like that.
Opt for a Klaus & Werner gun when it's time to upgrade, rather than switching for a Klaus & Werner gun when it's time to upgrade, rather than switching to a bearing with wholly different firing specifications. The Bulldog features a 3-barrel sequential fire design which is capable of firing specifications.
I almost left that alone. I stopped paying attention to the breath sound there.
With wholly different firing specifications.
You know, Geek Boy, unless your ass is all you need for your job, which unless you are a boy of the night, I was going to say a lady of the night, but that doesn't quite apply, does it? You know, like some sort of a male escort or something that doesn't really escort very far. Or the distance that you escort is measured in centimeters. You might want to get the rest of you out of bed, is what I was going to say.
The Bulldog features a 3-barrel sequential fire design which is capable of high rates of power
while keeping your sig low. No, that's Lance Henriksen's line, not mine.
Sequential fire design which is capable of high rates of power while maintaining a good degree of
It's still just a little bit too much.
capable of high rates of power while maintaining a good degree of accuracy. The overall low damage rate is countered by a low overall power consumption. Reviews of the Bulldog
Have been middling.
Reviews of the Bulldog have been middling.
I learned so many cool words doing this stuff. I never knew the word middling before I
The
recorded
overall
this.
low damage rate is countered by a low overall power consumption.
It doesn't escort that far? Yeah. I only need to escort this far. Jesus. You only need to, or you only have to? Because that's...
The overall low damage rate is countered by a low overall power consumption. Reviews of the Bulldog have been middling, with many recommend.
What?
Reviews of the Bulldog have been middling, with many.
This is what happens when I get lazy and I'm not paying attention. It doesn't sound like much, but it's the end of middling.
With Reviews of the Bulldog have been middling, with many recommending that those with enough credits to spend opt for a higher.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy, Sean.
Enough credits to spend opt for a higher quality weapon.
Now, paste.
Weapon.
Okay. Now we do the same thing again. We take this file. We already did the noise removal, so we hit the compressor to make it louder, which makes no sense, I know. Then we normalize it to -3. We hit the delay effect that we had from before to give it the computer effect. Now, you see here, we have suddenly developed this red line. Excuse me, there's 2 red lines. This is an area where the audio has begun to clip.
While
So you can see on the VU meter at the top there that it goes all the way over to, it completely fills the bar.
while
So what we need to do is we take that section, just that section, and we hit normalize to -3 again, which will make it just a little bit quieter. That much quieter, but the clip is gone. Now you can't hear the difference because the difference is so small, but now the whole thing sounds like this.
CF series. The key limitation of laser weapons is their low damage potential. Lasers charge quickly, they impact a wide variety of energy fields and armor types, and they cause clean hits. But despite attempts at increasing battery pools and energy generation, no one has engineered a laser that does the kind of damage that a neutron gun or a kinetic weapon can inflict.
Okay, so now we go to the next section. The next section, whatever, which is the CF. I said 007 in this one, right? Damn it.
Not Klaus and Werner. The CF series of laser repeaters is based to deliver as many 3 models of the CF series. Klaus and Werner positions the CF 007 Bull.
Okay, 007 Bulldog. So that means that this one I'm going to call the CF 117, and then the CF 227 for the last one. You got to be careful. Got to be consistent. You can't change it back and forth. Time for the badger. Badger. Mushroom.
The CF, great way to start off. The CF 117 Badger laser repeater is a mid-range repeater. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Damn it. Hello, Denistarum. Or Denastarum. I can never remember how to pronounce your name. Sorry, I probably shouldn't be recording this. We'll start again. The CF 117 Badger laser repeater is a mid-range laser repeater. It doesn't say laser repeater. The CF 117 Badger laser repeater is a mid-range repeater intended as the next step up from the Bulldog. From a technical standpoint, it is merely a better tuned Bulldog, with some additional styling to attract high credit higher credit spenders. The Badger maintains the Bulldog's power issues, producing an overall poor The Badger maintains the Bulldog's power issues, producing an overall poor power-to-damage ratio. Serious repeater advocates generally skip the Badger during their upgrade process, unless their ships are customized in such a way that the higher yield Panther would be an ineffective choice. The CF-227 Panther is the pinnacle of the Klaus and Werner repeater line for smaller ships. The Panther well overcomes the design limitations of the Bulldog and Badger, creating a true fire-and-forget weapon with a respectable power consumption-to-damage ratio. Pilots who can afford to outfit their ships with Panthers, both in terms of power capacity and credit balance, rarely regret the decision. The greatest limitation of this weapon is its struggle with power efficiency.
Fuck. Just go ahead and paste some pause on there right now, because I know it's going to need it because I didn't let it run out. Okay. So we know that the beginning of this has to go.
The CF-11
Okay, now, noise removal. Now, a buddy of mine who is a... No, I'm not going to keep the bit with your name in it. I mean, I would if I could, but I should create a blooper reel, but I don't keep those. So, anyway, a buddy of mine who's an audio engineer, who I had hoped when the audio director for Star Citizen, whose name suddenly escapes me. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot his name. Anyway, when he left CIG, I was hoping that my buddy Mr. Baker could get hired on, but I don't think. No, he was busy at the time, so he couldn't even apply. But yeah. All breaths out at the beginning. Great.
The CF-117
Wait, no. No, not that. I want the movement tool. I want to move this track out. There we go. So that it's not, stuck in the middle of this thing.
The CF-117 Badger laser repeater is a mid-range laser repeater. It doesn't say laser repeater. The CF-117 Badger laser repeater is a mid-range repeater intended as the next step up from the Bulldog. From a technical standpoint, it is merely
a well-tuned Bulldog.
Step up from the Bulldog. From a technical standpoint, it is merely a better tuned Bulldog, with some additional styling to attract high credits. It is merely a better tuned Bulldog, with some additional styling to attract higher credit spenders. The Badger maintains the...
I remember I've always had problems with these 3 paragraphs in particular.
Spenders. The Badger maintains the Bulldog's power issues, producing an overall poor... The Badger maintains the Bulldog's power issues, producing an overall poor power-to-damage ratio. The Badger maintains the Bulldog's power issues, producing an overall poor power-to-damage ratio. Serious repeater advocates generally skip the Badger ratio. Serious repeater advocates generally skip the Badger during their upgrade process, unless their ships are customized, during their upgrade process, unless their ships are customized in such a way that the higher yield Panther would be an ineffective choice. The CF-227 Panther is higher yield Panther would be an ineffective choice. The CF-227 Panther is the pinnacle of the Klaus and Werner repeater line for smaller ships. The Panther well overcomes the design limitations of ships. The Panther well overcomes the design limitations of the Bulldog and Badger, creating a true fire-and-forget weapon with respectable power. With a respectable power consumption to damage ratio.
Oh no. Remember I mentioned earlier how I have a bad habit of doing a break on an and? I also have a bad habit of doing it on a whiff. Hopefully this one will be as easy to fix. Don't say that, Trent. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Then with respectable, 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 with respectable, and with respect.
Mm-hmm. It's right there.
And Badger, creating a true fire and forget weapon with a respectable power consumption to damage ratio.
I've really gotten lucky on those today. Really lucky on those today.
Show. Pilots who can consumption to damage ratio. Pilots who can afford to outfit their ships with Panthers, both in terms ships with Panthers, both in terms of power capacity and credit balance, rarely regret the decision. And credit balance, rarely regret the decision.
um, I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at a waveform of it, Dana, but I'm sure that there's. But then this is my job. You know, this is what I do. So
Rarely regret the decision.
when it comes to, you know, whatever, however you would describe what it is he does, because making a game is not what he's doing. That's the simplest definition, and I mean like a hyper simplified definition of what it is he's doing. He's doing so much more than that. I could not do what he's doing. There are too many moving parts. There are too many. Even taking it from, you know, like a captain's perspective of saying, okay, team, here's what we're going to do. I want you to do this. 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 Go do those things and report back to me. From everything that I've heard and read about the man, he has a much deeper involvement in all of the layers beneath him than most other people do. Some of the executive producers that I've worked with at EA, you'd swear that they just sit in their offices with their legs propped up on the desk, rubbing money all over themselves, and occasionally people come in and say, hey, we'd like to do this, and they say, that's great, that's an awesome idea. And then when they realize far too late that they've drastically overcommitted the different features that they want to do, and they have to continually push back dates and push back dates and push back dates because they can't complete everything that they've said that they want to do in the amount of time, and they don't want to cut features because that means that they would have to tell somebody that their idea isn't good enough to go into the game. So rather than do the smart thing and the mature thing and say, we'll add it in as a patch later on. We won't have it in a release, but we will add it in later on. Rather than do that, they just keep pushing dates back and pushing them back and pushing them back because they have an incredibly, I'm going to say pussyfoot culture. No, I'm going to say pussy culture, where they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, okay, not all studios in EA are like that. Some of them are very hardcore, and if they don't like your ideas, they will tell you. Those are the teams that I like working for, so long as they can tell you that in a respectful fashion. I'm getting off topic. Suffice to say, this is my job. That's why I'm better at it than Chris Roberts is. That is Chris Roberts' job. That's why he is far, far better at that than I am, or probably would ever be.
Rarely regret the decision. The greatest limitation of this weapon,
Too much pause.
capacity and credit balance, rarely regret the decision.
Whoa, wait.
Afford to outfit their ships with Panthers, both in terms of power capacity and credit balance, rarely regret the decision. The greatest limitation of this weapon is its struggle with power efficiency.
What? No. No, 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 no. No. We will have none of that clickety. You can't see it on the VU meter, but I can hear it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, it's, no, we're not having that. Okay, so that's edited. All nice and edited down, ready to go. So we compress. Ooh, see, we've already got a red line here. This section is already clipped. So I have two options. One, I can normalize now, then add the delay factor, and then, because if I normalize right now, it's going to normalize all of it to -3 based on that peak. So if I normalize this to -3 and then normalize the rest of it to -3, I'll show you. At least I hope I'll show you. I hope I'm right about this. Otherwise I'm going to look like an idiot. So we go to normalize to -3. Now watch how small the waveforms get. They're considerably smaller. I'll undo this. And now I will normalize this section, just this section, to -3. And now we'll normalize all of this to -3. And it looks kind of the same. Okay. Piss off. I have had other situations where I have normalized to -3 and it got shrunk down so far I could barely see it. Hello, Momentary Hero. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so there it is with the delay in effect. So now we back up to the previous track because I think there's too much space between the previous track and this one. There's too long of a pause because it's not a separate section. It's just another paragraph. So it'll now sound like this.
Reviews of the Bulldog have been middling, with many recommending that those with enough credits to spend opt for a higher quality weapon. The CF-117
Way too much delay. So we'll put a half a second delay there and a half a second delay there, and then we will bring these tracks together again thusly. Now we'll see what they sound like.
And opt for a higher quality weapon. The CF-117 Badger laser repeater is a mid-range repeater intended as the next step up from the Bulldog. From a technical standpoint, it is merely a better tuned Bulldog, with some additional styling to attract higher credit spenders. The Badger maintains the Bulldog's power issues, producing an overall poor power-to-damage ratio. Serious repeater advocates generally skip the Badger during their upgrade process.
Okay, we'll go with that. When Star Citizen is going live? Okay, well, it's important to remember that there are two elements at play. One is, and I'm sure somebody will probably have mentioned this before you get because of the delay in the encoding. There is, we already have Arena Commander. The big release, for the game is going to be Squadron 42, which is the single player episodic thing, but it's purely single player. Star Citizen is the multiplayer, open universe thing. So if you're talking about Star Citizen, the multiplayer aspect, we don't know. Probably 2016. maybe, maybe. We don't know, and I don't think that the guys at CIG really know just yet. They're just plodding along. They're just trying to get enough of it done so that they can establish a working cadence and then get an idea of when, a tighter timeline on when they might be releasing. Um, Squadron 42, the single player component, I believe is supposed to be out sometime late next year. I think. Don't quote me on that. But that is the estimate. I believe is sometime later in 2015. The big thing that the CIG has been saying with regard to its release is do not upgrade your computers right now. Just save your money, save your pennies, save your tips. Just put them in a jar somewhere. Do not upgrade your system, not for a while. Because if you upgrade now, by the time the thing comes out, your computer's not going to be up to it. Don't even bother. Just save your money and do the big upgrade later on. Okay, so now we move on to... Okay, that was the CF series. Now we move on to the section about mass drivers. Ooh, I love mass drivers. They're very cool. Oh no, was this the part that I really didn't like reading? No, I think it was in the previous one. Yeah, it was Hurston Dynamics. Okay, Hurston Dynamics was the one that I was having to... Oh, God, that one was horrible. 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 That's from Hamlet, by the way. It's actually in the very beginning of Hamlet, where Hamlet is first speaking to the ghost of his father, and his father is describing the hellish purgatory he lives in. Well, it's fine. It's fine, Momentary Hero. It's not a bad thing that you've upgraded right now. It's just don't do it again for at least a year, at least. So, at least not with the intent of making Star Citizen look good, because just if that is your only reason for upgrading your computer, don't do it again. Not yet. Wait until you have a date from CIG. Then you can plan when you want to do your thing. So mass drivers, right? Okay. Ooh, that felt good. I hate this chair. I really hate this chair. I need to get my exercise ball back in here and start sitting on that again. Except for the fact that on this rug it won't do much good. I mean the area rug in my room. I don't mean my rug. Never mind. Okay. The purpose of sitting on an exercise ball in your office is that, or when you're exercising, is that, just a quick divergence from the voice acting thing, is that when you're like doing sit-ups. The first time I ever used an exercise ball was at the gym at Electronic Arts. And have I managed to finish that audiobook? Oh yes, that's done, and that's been up for sale for almost 3 weeks now, I think. If you go to audible.com and you do a search for Trend Sparks, you'll find it. It's the only thing up there that has my name on it. But the title of the book is Dragonbound Blue Dragon by Rebecca Shelley. So, but it's up there. Right. So I was at EA. I went over to the gymnasium and I was talking to one of the weight trainers, the exercise trainers, and I was like, "How do those exercise balls work?" She's like, "Come here." And so she puts the exercise ball on the floor. She's like, "Okay," and she showed me how to sit on it. She had to sit on a certain way. And it's okay. It's okay. And so she said, "Now do a sit-up." I'm like, "How many?" She said, "Just do one." And she had this smirk like, "Yeah, you go ahead and try to do a sit-up." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And so I leaned back to do a sit. And when I tried to come back up, my body was like, no. I mean, I can do a sit-up. I can do 5 at least. I know I'm fat, but I can manage a couple of sit-ups. I hate sit-ups, but I can do it. I could not do 1 sit-up on this thing. She said, see? And I'm like, that is bizarre. What the hell is going on? Because it's not just a case of I couldn't sit up. It's not like, I was triple the gravity. I mean, I was just like, I mean, I was spasming. I couldn't control myself. I was like, what is going on here? She said the reason the stability ball works, she said it's actually kind of a misnomer on the name, because the reason that it works is because it's unstable. You are sitting on top of a ball and it's constantly trying to roll out from underneath you. So you have to make these tiny adjustments all the time while you're sitting on it to keep yourself centered, because your weight constantly wants to roll off. Now, if you're just sitting, you're not moving very much and it's very easy to remain stable. But as soon as you start trying to exercise, like laying back and sitting back up, your weight wants to roll off to this side. And suddenly it's a lot harder to maintain your position on top of this ball. So that's where, your entire central core, your core muscles, all the muscles through the central part of your body have got to go into this hyper, adjusting mode, trying to keep you stabilized. And I was floored, literally, because I kind of fell off the ball. But I bought two of them, one for me and one for my boyfriend at the time. And I blew his up and I gave it to him and I said, use this when you're playing WoW. Instead of sitting on a chair, sit on this. And he was like, it's not going to, just one night, just do it. Because that's what she told me. She said, if you sit at your computer a lot, just get an exercise, just sit on this instead of a thing. And he played, he wound up playing WoW one night, came to bed close to dawn. And he was like, the next morning he got up, well, not the next morning, but later that morning he got up and he was like, I can't move. And I'm like, you're feeling a little bit sore? It's because while you're sitting there moving, you are constantly making these little micro adjustments all the time that you're not quite aware of, but you're constantly doing it all the time. And you're just like, he was like, that really hurts. I'm like, then that proves that the exercise is working the way it's supposed to. And so he wound up sitting on one. He took it to work and he used it there all the time. Then when he got laid off, because they did a big round of layoffs, he left the ball there. And everybody on the team went and grabbed Sharpies and started drawing all over it. And I went over there because I was in charge of the team running Spore. And I went to his former boss and said, so that exercise ball that he was using, he was like, yeah. I said, can I get that back? And they're like, huh? I said, that's my exercise ball. And he was like, oh. And then they showed me, and it was like part of it was painted up like a Death Star with the big dish on one side, and people had written stuff all over it and everything. And I was like, you guys are dicks. You guys are really, they're like, I'm so sorry, we'll buy you a new one. I was like, don't you dare, this is really funny. But so it's just, it was fun. But exercise balls, really, really cool. If you think, okay, I'll buy the ones that have the little skirt with the little caster wheel so I can roll around it, don't. Do not do that. The second you put that ball into that skirt, it immediately becomes stable. And it doesn't do anything. It does nothing to help you. You're just sitting on top of a balloon. Well, a big, puffy, air-filled cushion. It does nothing to, just the ball sitting on the floor. That's it. If you put it on the skirt so it doesn't roll out from underneath you, you are undoing its entire job. Sorry. But they're very cool. Just make sure you get the right size for you, and it depends on how tall you are. I, being about 5'10", I use a 55 centimeter ball. Yeah. Wait. Yes. So I was thinking 55 millimeter ball. No, 55 millimeter ball is, but they go up to like 75 centimeters. Some big balls out there. Let's move on. Mass drivers. One of my housemates is home for lunch. I can hear him moving around. Okay. Mass drivers. Klaus and Werner's second, less celebrated line of That's why it was so loud. I need to take those off. Because I'm not actually listening to anything. All it does is muffle my hearing so I can't hear myself very well. If I were playing back at the same time, it would be fine. But the problem is that Audacity is not really designed to do that. And so there's like a half a second delay, and that is confusing as hell. Okay, mass drivers. One more quick side note. A buddy of mine has been making coffee mugs. We've got one for the Horde, Steerbucks. Steerbucks. And then the other one is for the Alliance. Oh, I should have done that one first. So that I could have said, and Steerbucks for the Horde. I should have done that, but I didn't think of it. Oh, plenty of... Yeah. Yeah, it is easy and streamlined. I mean, like I said, a buddy of mine, Mr. Baker, who does... he's also the audio director on Kaze, Winds of Change, which is the radio play that a bunch of friends of mine and I do. Anyway, he's got a much more expensive setup than I do. But he is the one who gave me, who advised me on every piece of audio gear I own because he said, for what you want to do, this is what you'll need. But he uses Pro Tools because he's a Mac guy, which is